All right, guys, we are back with Shattered Darkness. I just want to say thank you to our subscribers, our followers. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate you engaging with us. Just want to give a shout out to the Love Shack Mocktail Bar, 120 East 4th Street. That's where we're shooting our podcast, down in one of their game rooms. So if you guys haven't been in here, it's amazing. They have awesome mocktails. The space is 5,700 square feet. They're doing tons of events, birthdays, yoga classes. I mean, whatever you can think of, give them a call. But I just want to say thank you to Han and Love Shack for letting us shoot here. And today I'm going to introduce our guest, and she is Allie J. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Thank you so much. I just lost my notes. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to do this and share your story. So Allie J is a personal trainer. She does fitness and wellness, and you can follow her on social media at Allie J Fit.
Yep,
is that correct?
That's right.
Allie J Fit. We'll put links and things like that. So Allie's also a mom of 2 and a recovering alcoholic. So we're going to get into Allie's story. How are you doing?
You.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to finally be here. I kind of feel like a recurring character as my ex-husband was on
Right.
episode 9.
And that was Dustin Petrick?
Yeah, Dustin Petrick with honorable mention to my mom. So I feel like it's my turn.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're excited to have you. And so we'll just kind of let you unroll your story wherever you want to start.
Yeah,
You know,
thank
maybe
you.
give us a little background and then just kind of move forward.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Texas, Austin, when it was kind of a small town. And I was the oldest daughter in the house. So I have twin younger brothers.
Okay.
And I had very fun and functional alcoholic parents. And so, you know, we played all day. We had kind of everything that we needed. And we watched them party a lot, you know, celebrate life. We had a pool. You know, so the summer was like neighbors coming over. My mom had a big family, and so all the family celebrations were kind of alcohol fueled. And so alcohol, when I was growing up, looked very fun to me, and not a lot of people in my life were getting in trouble with it. And I was really straight edge all the way up until I was 20. That's kind of when I had my first drink. And so I didn't get into a lot of trouble at a young age.
Was there any like damage that you saw because of that? It seems like it was kind of more like honestly, like not a bad situation.
It wasn't a bad situation. It was kind of like, this is how you live.
Yeah.
But what I can see it all so clearly now in recovery is that I didn't develop any coping skills for real life. There was a lot of like avoiding reality with that type of lifestyle. And I started experiencing really debilitating anxiety when I was 18 and left home and went to college about 6 hours away. And I didn't turn to alcohol because, again, I saw it as a fun party thing and I was not having fun. And so I didn't do it. And so by the time I did at 20, it worked so well on that anxiety and that panic. And it was like, oh, this feels better.
What do you think the anxiety and panic, where do you think that stemmed from?
I always had separation anxiety. I remember being so traumatized going to school. Like I just wanted to be at home. And so I think since I chose to go to school far away from home,
That was where it came.
yeah, it was another round of like separation anxiety from the comfort that I was used to.
Yeah.
And I, went to Texas Tech, a big party
Oh, yeah.
school,
Big time.
and there's nothing else to do in Lubbock. And so drinking is part of the culture there too. So again, I'm in like a community that says like drinking is what you're supposed to do right now. There are very little consequences for it because very few people were getting in trouble with it.
Yeah.
And so
That's a hard thing too, right? Like I
Yeah.
just feel like we didn't really realize what it was,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And we were kind of told that it was this thing and it's wrapped up in this pretty box and, sold with hot women and, it just looks like a lot of fun,
exactly.
And so, yeah, I can totally see it. And living in that environment, like that I can relate to a little bit.
Right.
So,
And then getting into college and starting to have fun with it and starting to, like, it was my social lubricant. It was how I was able to be around people. And so I went in pretty deep. And
do you think naturally you're kind of reclusive?
oh my gosh, No, but I was then.
Yeah.
I had to like step out of my comfort zone to be extroverted because I think like that was such a lonely time in my life that I wanted the opposite. I wanted to know people. I wanted to have a village. And so I had to overcome that. But yeah, at the time, I just didn't know how to be around people. I didn't know how to make new friends. I didn't know how to make a new village. And so when I felt isolated, house parties and bars were always there.
Yeah, that's like, and then you start to build that village around that, and it's just a very weak foundation. Right. So college years, did it progress quickly for you with drinking, or?
I think it felt normal, and I was going to school for pharmacy, and I was kind of drowning in my classes, and I was kind of drowning in anxiety and depression outside of my classes, and I took an elective class that was about addiction treatment. And I was like sucked in. I was like, I love learning about this. I want to do this. I want to help these people.
Really interesting.
Because I think inside I was one of those people. Yeah. I just hadn't been facing the consequences of that lifestyle yet. So I was like, I can drink, but I can also treat these people whose lives are falling apart
because of it. So you didn't have like a red flag moment at that point? Be like, no, maybe I have a problem.
Oh, I was just sucked in. I was like, this makes way more sense in my brain than all of that math and science.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick minute to cut out from our conversation and say, Ellie and I have noticed that about 75% of you guys that are listening to our content and engaging with us have not actually subscribe to the channel on YouTube. So right now, I would love it if you guys could just stop what you're doing, go click that subscribe button, all the follow buttons on social media. What this does is it helps us grow our impact. It helps us grow our guest list, put together better content, basically grow our network, our brand, so that we can create better content for you guys. So it's a huge, huge help for us if you click that subscribe button right now. Thank you so much. I feel like, too, it's answering questions. Yeah. When you start to get into addiction, I feel like you actually start to answer questions.
Right.
Right.
So. And so it took a while to start associating what I was learning in school to like my own life and to say, oh, all these people who have been having fun, maybe they're covering something up, maybe there's something deeper. And so kind of getting that education on like the human brain and the human experience was like starting to turn some cogs in my head.
Right.
But I was still just in party mode for a long time.
Well, I was going to say, too, up until this point, you have zero consequences, right? Nothing really has fallen apart. So there's nothing to identify in your life as like making that an evil thing.
Right. I was just like among the school of fish of, college binge drinking.
Totally. And I feel like I can kind of get a sense of your personality, too. Like, it seems very similar to mine, like in the sense of like community, right? Like, I love being around people. Mm-hmm. You said it before the podcast, like I love to be questioned, right? I'm the same way.
Yeah. And the alternative for me with my anxiety, because it was a panic disorder, I didn't want to leave the house because I was going to have a panic attack in a classroom or wherever, at the grocery store. And so the alternative was rotting on my couch in isolation. And I did have enough self-awareness to realize that I didn't want that. Yeah. It didn't feel good. It was just where I was. Yeah. And so the alcohol brought me out of the house. And I think, as we all know, it is a social lubricant.
Totally.
It does release your inhibitions.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it works so well.
Yeah.
And that's the bad part about it.
Right.
So
then it became the solution very early.
When did you realize that you're like, oh, fuck, like this is a problem?
It wasn't until my mom got sober, which was in 2017. So This is another decade later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it took somebody that I loved and admired saying, this is not how to live, and watching her do it. And I was shocked. I was shocked when she went to treatment. I was shocked when she went to AA. And
are your parents still together?
No, but they didn't divorce until I was 34 years old.
Really?
So, yeah, they were still together at that point.
Did your dad make that choice too, or?
He didn't initially, and that was kind of, I think that's when they started to split, and they lived under the same roof and just in different bedrooms for a while. And then it was in 2020 when my dad had a medical visit that the doctor said, you need to stop. And he did cold turkey. So now both parents are sober, dad in 2020 and mom in 2017.
That's awesome.
And so that's why I can see so clearly the way that they were when I was raised versus how we are able to connect now.
Was the difference for your folks, do you think it was medical? I know obviously your dad, but what do you think it was for your mom?
I think unhappiness. She had not yet retired, and she just realized that it wasn't working in her life, like as far as being happy.
Yeah. That's good. I know, man, that generation, I swear, they can just flip a switch and it's like, all right, I'm good.
And I just had no idea. I feel like she was fighting a battle that she wasn't talking about.
Yeah. And so you didn't know that they were really going through that at the time, or you did?
No, I did not know. I saw it in my dad, especially after my mom got sober. And that's kind of part of my story is I feel like my mom got sober and she did bring it up to my dad. And I feel like he kind of turned it up. She threatened the alcohol. And so he's like, oh, I want, don't take it from me. And I feel like he kind of turned it up. And my conversations with him were less connected. I felt like I was really seeing, the symptoms of alcohol in him. And so it was hard for me to connect while I was watching my mom go through recovery. And if you've listened to Dustin's episode, you know how sometimes they say like, you'll marry your dad. I married my mom. Dustin and my mom are so similar. And so I watched her go through this and I started to realize like the qualities that she had were like overlapped with the person that I was married to. And then I watched him go through it a couple of years later. And so I had these two people that I loved and admired, like showing me the way to sobriety, but I was I was becoming a mom. So I was taking 9 months off from alcohol. Like, I don't have a problem. I can go 9 months without drinking. I was so in denial that I had a problem. And I'm listening to them talk about their recovery with a glass of wine in my hand, just like pounding it.
It's crazy to think about that stuff now, right? Like, what do you, like, your perception in that moment, right? Like, you're obviously, like, it's very much on them.
Shame.
But like they need to do this, right? Like, your perception, what you're looking at is not you, right? In that moment, you're looking at them and like, oh, they need to fix this and this and not identifying those things inside of you.
So looking back on it, to me, it looks like shame. Like I'm sitting there just drinking while they're talking about becoming better versions of themselves. Yeah. But in the moment, it was like, I'm good. I took 9 months off so I can have this glass of wine while my baby sleeps.
Let me ask you a question. How long have you been sober?
2 years was February 10th, a couple months ago. So I'm working on year 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had a question in there that I was going to ask and I forgot what it was. So, So you're caught, like, when this is in 2017, like you're watching them go through this, you have kids, you guys start having kids, like you're still drinking through all of this time? So
I stayed in that like college binge drinking. It's okay for me to drink as long as it's fun, all the way up until I stopped drinking in 2024. And so I kept thinking, like, as long as I'm showing up with a bubbly personality, like, it's fine that I like day drinking. It's fine. And I also don't like to lose control. So I thought, I would validate myself all the way through my whole drinking career, that I wasn't bad enough to call myself an alcoholic. And so, 2017 was when my mom became sober and I started to think maybe my habits aren't healthy, like normal. And then in 2019 is when I became pregnant. And so I was like, look at me, I can go 9 months, even though I couldn't go a few hours when I wasn't pregnant without drinking. And so that was another time in my life where I was like, I'm not an alcoholic. I was a social worker with, and I did addiction treatment. I'm not an alcoholic.
It's so wild to think that you can be literally surrounded by all of that stuff and still not see it. Oh,
it was a lifetime of denial for me.
That's crazy.
A lifetime of denial for me. And, I was projecting so much when I was watching Dustin, reach the end of his drinking, finding it and hiding places and being so mad at him for hiding it. And I've got shooters in my purse and in my car, but it was like, I could take it out on him, but I couldn't face it back to me. I couldn't look in the mirror and say, you're doing the same shit.
Dude, and that's the crazy thing about, like, I did the same thing to my wife, It was like everything that was broken in me was her problem.
Sure. No accountability whatsoever for me. And just, I think that it wasn't on purpose. It was just how my brain worked. Just like, I am this and that. I am not an alcoholic.
And I don't want to be like, I don't want to say like a cop out, but like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right? And then when you learn it, that's where it's like, okay, now you have a responsibility to act on that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I think sobriety, it's this process of education. Mm-hmm. It's like your brain is kind of fucked up, and you're kind of thinking like a child, and it's like you got to take these steps and get these small wins, and it takes so much time,
Yeah.
but it's definitely worth it. So when did you realize it all? When were you like, all right, I'm fucking done? Like,
Yeah. So when I had my kids, I packed booze in my hospital bag, and I realized that was maybe a little much, but I had gone 9 months. I deserved it. And I started to realize my obsessive thoughts over alcohol once I had my first child and was able to drink again. I would start calculating, because I was a nursing mom. So I would just start calculating when can I drink and how much can I drink and how can I get away with it without looking like an alcoholic. That's when the obsessive thoughts started. And then I had another baby, so we went through that again. And I became a stay-at-home mom in 2023 after a pretty vibrant career. I did leave social work and got into sales. And so I'd been in sales for a decade, and I was around people all the time. I was so extroverted. I was successful. So switching to the stay-at-home mom life, I immediately felt isolated. I can remember like the first day of taking my kids out as a stay-at-home mom to these parks and feeling like, where's everybody? I feel almost incapable of being a mom because now it's my full-time job to do so. And I started like waiting for Dustin to get home, and then I would bolt. I would have like some event I needed to go to because I was trying to also boost his marketing for his company. And I was using all of those networking events as like, yes, I get to get out of the house and be around people. And I got so hyper fixated on being at the bar. I could not wait to escape my family and go to the bar. And I realized while I was doing that, how problematic it was. And I just let the obsessive thinking that was August of 2023. And then my sober date is February 10th of 2024. So it didn't go a long time, but it was intense. Every single day was just about my next drink. And it was like 3 p.m. is a good time for my next drink. And then noon, and then 10, and then 8. And it was like I was drinking all day and hiding it. Because I had a sober husband, and I was escaping my family to go be around people. I just wanted to talk to people.
And just be out of the responsibility. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a pretty weighty situation, with kids. And there's a lot of responsibility for you guys as women, in those moments. And my wife, I look at her, dude, she like I would be in the same boat. Like, there's no way, that would be so difficult.
Yeah.
So, did you go to rehab?
I didn't. I wish I did. Yeah. I wish I had taken that time away for me to learn about what got me there and then what to do next. Yeah. What I did was I kind of quit cold turkey, and it was day 3 and I didn't know that I was going to quit for good either. I'll say that. I was training for a half marathon, and I realized that the drinking, especially the hangovers, was in my way. And so my goal was just to make it to that event, and I would stop drinking until I did that race. But I did have that thought in the back of my head, like, you are so obsessed with your next drink, you might be an alcoholic. So I was like, but if I get there to that race and I'm an alcoholic, I'll just stop, And so I got to day 3 and I got humbled really quickly with withdrawal. I thought that I was kind of still in like the normal drinking quantity. And so I was very surprised how intense my withdrawal symptoms were. And I was in the bathtub. I just told Dustin I need a minute. I needed to be away from all of the noise of the kids. And I was in the bathtub thinking, I shouldn't be alive. And luckily with my background in addiction treatment, I knew that could be part of withdrawal. And so I called my mom that day. And she said, you need to go to a meeting. And I blindsided her. She didn't know that I was having alcoholic tendencies. I hid it from everyone except for Dustin, I think.
Was your family open with each other? Did they?
No.
Yeah, not at all.
No. I didn't learn how to live. Yeah. I didn't learn how to cope. They didn't
communicate about issues or anything?
No. Perfection. That's all that was expected.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how you live under that.
And I kind of married the same person. Yeah.
It's funny, too, because my wife I was very codependent on my dad, like that was my inner child, right? Is like, I didn't ever feel like I was good enough.
Yeah.
Or abandoned or looked over, or misunderstood, and so, yeah, dude, like, it's hard, you have to identify that.
Yeah, it was all about optics, I think, for our family. And so, like, talking about hard things and being able to process them wasn't a thing. So I didn't have any tools to do that. And so it was all, and then alcohol was about having fun. And fun is a lot better than feeling things.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you this. When you started to get sober, did you feel like you were never going to have fun again? Like,
Yes. I felt like there was no way that I could give up alcohol for a lifetime. I was like, I can do it for a race, but it was like my personality was, and because I didn't know how to be out in the world without it.
yeah.
That's where the anxiety comes back in. Like, I didn't know how to be around people without it.
Yeah. How do you deal with your anxiety and stuff today?
For one, I will say that I didn't realize how much alcohol was contributing to it until my sobriety cleared up my body, and I just didn't experience it in the same way. I've never experienced anxiety physically in the same way that I was experiencing it in every hangover, in every effort to get out of the house. The way that I experience anxiety now, if it's physical, I can tell that it's anxiety, and it feels so temporary. It feels so different. And so, and then I've learned.
Why do you think that is?
It's got to be physiological, I think, with the poison that's in your body and the mini withdrawals that you go through with hangovers. Like, the anxiety, I think, is real, and I don't fully understand the science.
Yeah, I don't
but I
either.
think without it in my body, it feels different.
Right.
And then with the tools that I've started to develop as a sober person, I have the self-awareness that says, this isn't forever. Every other time you've experienced anxiety, you have figured it out. You've made it to the other side of it. And so you can do that again.
Yeah.
Let's just access the tools and start putting them into action. And so it's a very conscious effort. And then I think there's...
Let me ask you a question. Is that an easy process for you to identify what needs to be done and then do it?
No, because the obsessive thoughts that I felt about alcohol just found a new thing to obsess over, and that's how to live.
And the biggest difference that you said in all of that, right, is your clarity.
Yeah.
Your mental clarity, right? You're able to look at reality for what it is.
Yes.
Right? And be like, okay, this is just a fleeting emotion, right?
And it's the people. I mean, I am in AA, and it's the people that have also related to me. One of my friends at one point said, "Welcome to the human race, babe." And I repeat that as a mantra, like, this is human. Yeah. What you were doing before was just escaping. Yeah. But like, emotions and imperfection, that's all human. And so you're allowed to be in that. And it's the first time I've had permission in my whole life to be in that.
To be that way. Yeah, and that's, dude, I feel this, like, failure was always a big thing for me. Like, my dad was super successful. And he always talked about like legacy and, these kinds of things. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's up to me to continue that. Right. But never really got the education. And yeah, I created a lot of anxiety. Right. And it's like, I just gave up to the fact that I'll never be as successful. And it was like I was trying so hard to live his path, and not my own, and not realizing who I am. And I think that's the best part about sobriety, right? Is the breaking down of yourself. It's the part that people are the most afraid of, and I think it's honestly why the world is the way that it is, because we just, as a human race, refuse to look at what's going on inside of ourselves.
Right.
We just keep pointing the finger at everybody else and playing the victim.
That's exactly what I was doing. Yeah. And now in sobriety, I've gotten to create a life that I don't want to escape from. Yeah. And I kind of learn more every day about accountability. Like, I can look back to my first year of sobriety and realize that I knew I needed to take it, but I wasn't quite there yet. Right. And I know that I'm not to the finish line of accountability for like my own actions and thoughts and behaviors.
And are we ever really? I
don't think there's a finish line.
No, new actions and behaviors happen every day. Yep. We're going to continue to make mistakes. We're going to continue to fail, and it's just like, I think that we were raised in a generation that was like, failure was not an option. Yeah. Period. That's how they were raised, dude. From war veterans, failure's not an option, ever. And that just, so it's like that transpires, right? And the best way for me to find grace for all of that was to go back and understand my dad. And his path, and who his dad was, and their relationship, and it turns anger and resentment into compassion.
Oh, I found so much compassion for past resentments over, especially in this the second year of sobriety. You know, the first one was all about me. It was like, how do I live? Everything was a brand new experience. Every day, every holiday, every season was a brand new experience. And you're just in the tidal wave. Just, I didn't want to drink anymore. And I'm so blessed for that, that I wasn't obsessing over putting a drink up to my mouth. But what I was obsessing over is like, oh, the discomfort of life and just finding a way to be in it when it's discomfort, and then like also being able to be in joy, because sometimes when you get so acquainted with discomfort, you're like, the joy feels scary. Yeah. Am I like, you know, if I'm so hot and cold and up and down, and that feels scary. And so being able to like feel both of those things in one day, in 1 hour, especially when you have young kids, I mean, they'll take you on a journey very quickly.
It feels like one day is like a week.
Yeah. You'll want to like drop them off at the fire station and also be crying at their baby photos. Like, I miss their tiny feet.
Right. I know, dude. Every time it's me and my wife together, all we do is talk about our fucking kids.
Exactly. You know? So you're up, down, all around in the first year. And then the second year, you can really start digging in to like how you got there. And because I was settled into my sobriety by that point. I wasn't thinking about picking up a drink. I was comfortable going to events where people were drinking at that point, and being sober. And I'm proud of it. I've been proud of being sober since. I will say that the first time having to identify myself as an alcoholic in a room full of alcoholics was surreal.
I was going to ask you about that, actually.
And so humbling. Like, those words coming out of my mouth were tough, even with Justin, even with my mom, you know, talking about their experience doing the same thing.
What did that do, though, inside of you when you were able to admit that?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly. I think that all of those times that I went to the house parties, the bars, the way I was seeking belonging all since day one of my drinking at 20 years old, and probably the 2 years that I was fighting anxiety and social anxiety, I was seeking belonging. When I said those words in that room and I looked around at the eyeballs looking back at me, that is the first time in my life that I felt belonging. And I continued to go back and felt like the relationships develop and the people care about me. And as a stay-at-home mom, when you kind of feel like, what am I going to do on sick days? And, you know, like, who's going to be there for me? Because I don't have family in this state. Those women then became the people who showed up, the ones who like made me meals when times were hard. And that's belonging. I never felt that in a bar, but every time I walked into a bar, that's what I was looking for.
It's crazy, right? We search for them in these easy areas, right? And it's funny, like I had that in my wife, right? Mm-hmm. I had this person that was willing to show up for me no matter what, you know? And it was like the one thing that you look for in life, dude. It's like, no matter what's in your closet, dude, this person still chooses you. And I didn't understand that, you know? Right. I didn't know how to actually accept that.
Yeah.
You know, because I hated myself so much for the things that I'd done.
Yeah.
You know, I just the inner child trying to protect myself, and I just wouldn't allow her to. And I remember in rehab, one of my counselors asked me if I manufactured happiness. And I was like, it fucking stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, what kind of question is that? Like, but the more I thought about it, I was like, holy shit. Like, I probably, yeah. You know, like in these moments where I'm supposed to be having fun with my kids at Great Wolf Lodge, I'm fucking miserable.
Right.
You know, because I'm not, getting my way, or my perception is selfish, or, you know, I'm not thinking about life from their point of view, you know, and it's crazy, dude. Being a father, you are right here on this fucking mantle, and everything that you do, they are like, what was that? You know, and it's just like, oh man, you know, I've been swearing around my kids for years, and it's like, that was not a good idea.
Yeah, because then it shows up at school. You get the call.
You know, and it will eventually, like, and my son is me to a T, dude. Like, emotionally, like, he's 110% full on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah. But that's true, dude. Like, the clarity in year 2, like, that's where, and you really start to identify who you are, right?
Exactly. You can kind of create who you are. You realize that you've been given a second chance. And that made your Great Wolf Lodge made me think of expectations. And that was where I really I really kind of messed up. And where I had to take accountability was I had expectations for everything, for life, for my kids, for my partner, for how every interaction every day was going to go, like what I was going to find when I went to the bar. It was all about expectations. And so I had to learn to let go basically of all expectations.
And control that stuff.
Yeah. And I rely so heavily on the serenity prayer just because it's a one way that I can check myself on, am I trying to control something I can't control? Yeah. Or do I have control? And then that allows me to kind of come up with the next right step. Because there are some situations that you do have control over, right. But how do you know the difference? And so that's been, that's been really meaningful to me.
Yeah. I was gonna, how do you, in those situations where it's really difficult, like you're having a hard time with it, you need to let go of control of something, but you can't, like, how do you manage that?
I yell at myself in my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, stop. It's a full stop.
Yeah.
Pause.
You just have a lot of control over what comes in and out of your mind.
I don't think I have control over what comes in and out of my mind. I can just realize that when I'm in a spiral, like, the visual of like you've got dirt and water in a jar and it gets shaken up and it's mud. The only way to let it get clear again is to set it down. Yeah. And so that's been it's just pausing and realizing that I'm in a spiral. Like self-awareness has been a huge part of my journey, and just identifying the feelings, because I think that's what I didn't learn growing up. I didn't learn that feelings were okay. Yeah. I didn't learn that they were normal and that everybody has them. It was like, what I learned was that if you experience them, there's something wrong with you and you need to change and you need to be more positive and you need to find, it was a toxic positivity. And I've been overcoming that by just saying, and relating to people who also say like, no, people are very imperfect and they mess up and they repair and they get better, and like everything's temporary.
Dude, and not only like in that too, like it allows you to have grace for the world, for like the things around you, and I'm struggling with that too, right? Like I'm very much in that selfish perspective of like, well, why is your truck parked there? I can't move it. Like fuck you, And it's like, okay, how about you stop for a minute? Ask him, like, what's going on? Hey, are you doing okay? Like, why are you parked in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
Ask questions. Get to know people. Get to know the situation. Don't just react to things.
Yeah. Selfish is a funny word for me because I heard it a lot in AA. Everything is about self. And I was like, I'm not selfish, because I was so fully codependent that like everything that I did was like for others. Well, what you realize is like you're self-serving by martyring yourself to all of these others. And so I've realized now in my sobriety just how selfish so many of my actions were. But when I came in, I couldn't see it that way. I was still in victim mode, but I was also in like, I've been taking care of people my whole life. Dude, and that's the thing,
right? Like you are still doing positive things with your life.
Right.
While personally having a spiral, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to be like, hey, I'm doing good shit. Like this is not the problem.
Yeah. But feeling let down in the meantime. Totally.
Well, and that's what it's so funny when one of my like life coaches was like, he's like, yeah, you should get the book Codependent No More. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Ashley should totally read that. And then I'm like, so I told him, I was like, yeah, I gave it to my wife. And he's like, what? He's like, dude, you need to read that. And he's like, you're the one that's codependent.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no idea what it meant. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know. And this was probably 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, now I see it.
Yeah. Melody is bae. She's like, the pages are falling out of my Melody books. Get Journey to the Heart.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's just such a crazy journey. But let me ask you this. Right now, as we sit here today, how are things going?
Oh, they're chaos. They're fucking chaos, Mitch.
Right?
It never stops. I almost think it's probably more chaotic than when I was drinking, but guess what? I know how to handle it. So I was a stay-at-home mom up until very recently. I just got certified as a personal trainer, and that was, I had to do the soul searching. I got divorced early in my sobriety. Big choice, right? They say not to make big life changes in year one, and I did it at 4 months in. We have a great co-parenting relationship, and I think we owe that to our sobriety. We've learned how to communicate with others and how to really focus on being the best version of ourselves, and we both share that why of who we're doing this all for. Yeah. it's been awesome to talk to our kids about why we go to meetings or when we repair. Like, we wouldn't probably have repaired as alcoholics, as active alcoholics, when we, snap at the kids. So we get to talk to them about real emotions and like let them experience theirs, which is so different than the way I was raised. And, I entered the dating world after getting divorced, and that was interesting as a sober person who is terrified to be around people. And it's been a huge career change. I was in corporate America and I was kind of working for someone else. And so to now kind of own my career journey is so scary. There's so much imposter syndrome there. And to try to live all of these changes the right way feels like so much pressure all the time. I really have to keep myself in check, reminding myself that it's about progress and that you can take baby steps and that you can kind of like leap because I have a parachute of sobriety and I can just kind of jump into these new things without having them so meticulously planned. So life is chaos. Yeah. The kids one's in kindergarten and then the next one will start kindergarten next year. So busy mom life.
At least, what school are they at?
Hollister.
Oh, okay. I thought they were at Windsor Charter.
No.
But, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. And learning how to co-parent and just learning how to be a human and a friend. And, I really leaned into the sober community, when I was lonely and post-divorce, and I've made the best friends. And so
I'm telling you, man, they're the coolest people on planet Earth.
Totally. I'm having my birthday party up here in 2 weeks, and I just invited everybody. It's like open door policy. Yeah, please come.
Okay, I will. I'm actually having my 40th here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
it's a good spot, a sober bar, and brings people together.
Yeah, and that honestly, like, I don't know. People always say, like, addicts have this thing, right, that makes them, if they can get sober, they're powerful, right? It's not, I don't think it's true. I think that anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. Anybody, right? You want to talk about addiction, every single person on this planet is addicted to something that takes them out of what's going on in here, right? And mutes them in reality.
Yep.
That's the same thing, dude. Drugs and alcohol, we just burn the fucking world down.
That's so true.
And it's easy to identify, right? So it's like, you want to talk about addiction, we can put a blanket over the entire world without like, so it's like, I don't think that addicts have anything special in their brain. I think we've just made a choice to lay ourselves down and be like, you know what? I'm a fucked up piece of shit and I need help.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start to put the help into place. And it's not surprising to me that faith and spirituality and God and all of that stuff goes almost hand in hand with it. Right? Because in Christianity, it's the same mental practice. Lay yourself down, admit your faults, take accountability for them, and then move forward in a different direction. It's called repentance.
Yeah. Humility took me a really long time. As someone who was always expected to look perfect to everyone, humility took me a really long time. But since I kept hearing that message on repeat, I think, that's what sets us apart. And I think that's how you are introduced to change.
Totally.
And, looking at what I was going to do for this next phase of my career, I was so passionate about helping people to overcome the barriers in their life. And so I'm going to do that via personal training. But it doesn't matter what the barrier is. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. It matters the stories that you're telling yourself in your head. And you've got to be able to overcome those to, achieve the growth that you have in mind, to achieve that big goal. And so you have to turn inward to try to admit to what that barrier is. And often it is a lie that you're telling yourself.
And this is why I think the community is so important. And I'm not saying having 150 people around you all the time, but one or two people that see right through you, and are like, bro, that's it right there. Like, because we're not always going to be able to identify what that is, right? And so if we don't have people in our lives that know us so well that can identify those things and then give them the freedom to actually come to you and be like, hey, man, I'm seeing these things in your life. Like, what do you think? These guys have done it to me multiple times. I'm probably doing it right now where I'm talking too much, And so it's like, we all have these personality character flaws,
Yeah.
right? That we're like trying to hide away, you know? And it's like, no, dude, address it. Because once you address it and you learn something, now you're stronger. Now it's time to learn the next thing,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's like, that's what I love. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm on this whole like spiritual mission in my own life, you know? And like, just this like, and it's crazy because I'm trying to quantify our impact on this thing. And it's really hard to do. You know, I really pick like a lane, like what are we offering?
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough. And it's like, what's the one consistent thing that we've seen in 58 episodes? You know, and it's that mentality of I am not enough to do this on my own.
No.
And it being that. And it's okay.
Yeah, because
Right.
if it's all internal, it is shame. Like it's just it can be so full of shame. How did I get myself into this situation? How did this get so bad?
And you're going to just be buried by all these little things over time, you know, and so like they eat away at who you are, right? And it's hard, but actually a fairly simple process, right? Of like, hey, this is going on in my life and I really need help figuring it out.
Yeah, and watching other people who have done it is hope.
You know, and it's surrounding yourself with people that have mastered it, you know, and get that part of your life. And I don't know, man, that's why it's like, I feel like the biggest consistent thing that we've seen is the people that are willing to lay themselves down,
Yeah.
you know, and pick themselves apart. Those are the ones that are going to change the world.
Yeah. And you asked me if I was worried that I wouldn't be fun, and I'm super fucking fun.
It's fun,
And
isn't it?
My friends are super fucking fun. We are a fun bunch. We go through a really emotional, tumultuous time getting there.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you kind of overcome that first year, that desire to pick up the drink again, you know, once you settle in to sobriety, it's a fun time.
Dude,
and it's a great group of people to be around and to be able to be present for those memories that you're making, to be able to drive home at the end of the night.
Right.
You know, if I used to go to something in Denver, I had to pay for a hotel, and now I can just get on the road and I'm tired, but I'm
But
fine.
you're safe.
Pull me over.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do?
Breathalyze me,
I know,
baby.
dude, every time I see a cop, I'm like, I have nothing to worry about.
I got pulled over for the first time in like a decade on my 1 month of sobriety. And I had just been at a bar because I got invited to a friend's birthday party.
God.
And so I'm in the bar just like, I don't know what
Freaking
to
out.
do with
Yeah,
my
you're a brave soul
hands.
doing that at,
And
like, a
so
bar.
I spat out of there and I got pulled over, and I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. Like,
Because I would have had 14 mimosas if this was a month ago.
Yeah, you're like, I would be in jail right now.
Yeah. And I can afford this ticket because I didn't just buy 15 mimosas.
Exactly, right? Like, I did spend the money, but it was on a speeding ticket.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. What else do you like attribute in your life, like positively, to your sobriety? Just everything in your life, like all of it is going this way because of your sobriety, or?
I really do think that I can attribute all the good things. Okay, I have a good answer for you, I think. I can attribute all of the good things that have happened in my life to my sobriety. What's been the most meaningful has been being able to get through the dark times.
Yeah, dude.
Getting divorced, getting my heart broken after divorce, dealing with my kids, my little hearts on my sleeve out in the world, like getting to sit in all of the discomfort that pain causes and not numb it out. I'm so grateful for it. And it hurts like hell. It's terrible. I had to learn to be alone too. I mentioned I was always seeking belonging, almost to the point where I fucked up a bit in my recovery, like turning to other people instead of going inward, whether it was dating or just like saying yes to plans that I did not have the time to go do. And I burned myself out. I burned myself out on people. And I was feeling like I didn't even know myself, even though I'm going to meetings, I'm not picking up the drink, I'm collecting the days, I'm being there for my kids on the days that I have them. It was those days that I didn't have my kids. And so it was last October, I was like just a little over a year and a half sober. And I said, girl, you've got to learn to be alone. And so I started painting by numbers.
Nice. I love that shit, dude.
And just sitting on my couch, like not making plans, saying no to the plans. I have FOMO. I have a scarcity complex. Like I did not want to miss out on whatever was happening out in the world, but I did it. And I completed like these 3 paintings, and I got so obsessed with it. I'd be like, oh my God, it's 1:30 in the morning. You've got to go to bed. And so we can get very addicted to very minor things when there's no alcohol. But I forced myself to learn to be alone, and it has impacted all of my relationships so well. I learned that I had a rejection sensitivity from growing up, and now I can like get my plans declined and not take it so personally. And I still have to work on that. It's a very new concept for me, but I had to learn all that because of how painful it was to sit in like the hurt of being sober and not have a medication to make it go away. So that's really been the most impactful thing that's come from sobriety.
I think that's such a great answer. You know, I was writing down some ideas for a book the other night, and one of them that came up was just fear. It's called it fearless. And it's, dude, no matter which direction you take in your life, it's going to be hard, right? Sobriety is hard. Alcoholism is hard. Being on drugs is hard. Being a mom is hard. You know, being in good shape is hard. Everything in life is hard, right? So which path are you going to go down? You know, are you really going to go down and lose your soul? Or are you going to try to find your soul and do everything you can?
I read a book in 2015 called The Universe Has Your Back, and that put that idea in my head that like, it was really helped me overcome a lot of anxiety, because it's like you're trying to exercise control over things you don't have control over. Exactly. You're wasting energy. And whatever happens in the universe, like, you know, you can put your seatbelt on, but you can't control if some car's going to come blast you in an intersection.
Totally.
So I've done all I can by putting my seatbelt on and by looking around and paying attention, but I can't decide if that another car is going to take me out that day. And so the universe, I believe, has my back, and I believe that there's a plan for me, and whether that's all set in stone already or whether it's dynamic and changing with the decisions that I do make, I just believe that I can get through whatever my universe, wherever my universe guides me, like I can get through it. And that is faith. Yeah. And that's helped me there were times, because I do have some religious trauma, and so I had a really hard time praying in AA, but I did notice myself in times of despair and desperation praying, like, even if it hurts, just show me the way through this.
And that's the point, dude. Like, pain is a great teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
living a lie if you say that it's not, and that everybody's got to be perfect and everybody's got to be positive. And
no, that's not true. I think that we need to spend more time on the pain. I think we need to spend more time in that, understanding it. Right. Why is it there? What is it doing to me? How's it impacting me? How's it impacting my future?
Yeah.
You know?
And think about how many people had visibility to our lives while we were growing up, and how many people have visibility to ours now, and then how many people will have visibility to our kids. I mean, who was I trying to be perfect for? A select handful of people. Right. And my dad was a broadcaster, a morning show host. And so he did have a lot of people in his life. This whole entertainment, like his life was the entertainment. Explains a lot, actually. Right? Can we just go back to the start and just say that? And that's why.
You're like, okay, I get
that's why I'm an alcoholic.
Well, I'm always like, what? I was going to ask you at the beginning too, and I forgot what your dad did. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Spoiler alert. I do a word of the year, and like the way that I decided my word of the year, the first New Year's that I was sober, was I kept thinking of like a bottle shattering with lightning, lightning inside of the bottle. It's like you can't bottle lightning. And so that was a very like the shattering of my life, stigma. And that's so true, because I do feel that, people can come into sobriety with this idea of what it's going to be like, the expectation of what it's going to be like. And it very often does not look pretty. It very often looks like a huge loss of their identity or their comfort. And that's what it was for me. It was totally all of those things, but it was so beautiful. And I love that lightning and that shatter, because it has created a life that I seriously do not have to run from anymore. Even in the painful times, because you can say, this is going to teach me something and it's not going to be forever. And I have people to call that'll say, fuck yeah, that hurts.
Dude,
that sucks.
My wife and I, we tried to look at hard things as opportunities.
Yeah.
Instead of like, hey, don't be a victim here. Like, this is an opportunity for you to grow. This is funny too. My daughter came to me the other day. She was at a friend's house. She's like, Dad, I don't really feel like we have any rules. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, we have rules. You brush your teeth every night. You go to bed at a certain time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're not just going to let you watch your iPad all day. And she's like, well, I'm just at my friend's house. And like, they have specific times for things and da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, life is not about a set of rules.
Yeah.
And doing this and doing that and doing this. Life is about principles and morals, right? I'm not going to give you guys a hardcore set of rules because I want you to make mistakes. I want you to screw things up, right? I want you to hurt yourself. That's how you learn,
I know.
right? And I don't want to teach you that you just have to follow a set of rules. If somebody puts a rule book in front of you and says you need to follow this, your first question should be why.
Yeah.
You know, and then if they can't convince you, don't follow it.
Right.
Right? Like, my goal is to strengthen you as an individual so that you know who you are when you go out into the world.
Exactly.
Right? And the world is not going to define who you are because you already know.
Yeah. And since I talk gentle shit on my parents for this whole podcast, I should say that, like, their sobriety guided me to sobriety. You know, their journey has helped me to be a better parent and to show up with presence for my kids, and being able to, like, have this adult friendship with my mom as a sober woman, and to be able to watch my dad, like, make a change because he needed one. Those are invaluable. That, like, trumps everything that, you know, I might have changed about my childhood.
Dude, this is the thing. Like, I have so much grace for our parents and their generation. Dude, 30 years from now, we're going to be in their shoes and our kids are going to be sitting here like, those motherfuckers.
Doing podcasts
and,
about how much we fucked them up.
You know, and that's the thing. It's like, it's okay. Like, I've learned to let go of the resentments that I've created, that I was created around my father. Like, I've understand who he is as a person, and I love who he is as a person.
Exactly.
And do I agree with everything? No, I don't have to. Right. And it's like, I'm not identifying everything in me as like in him. Right. It's not this checks and balances. Like, am I that? You know? And so it's, no, I'm me. And I'm finding a lot of confidence in that person.
Sobriety can do so much for repair. You know, I have an ex-husband. We both went through alcoholism. We both went through sobriety, and now we're trying to navigate our world as co-parents. And I have a lot of other alcoholic, you know, close friends in my life that I go through ups and downs with. And those would have been things that I probably just walked away from as a drinker because it was too much to handle. But, like, if you can look at yourself and say, hey, I wasn't the best version of myself, and I've created change, and now I'm becoming a better version of myself, and I'm still never going to be perfect, then you can look at other people in that same way.
Yes.
And you can create these positive relationships. I'm so proud to be able to say that I have a pretty chill relationship with my ex-husband and the father of my kids. And sometimes it shocks people when I'm telling them, like, yeah, we do Christmas morning together. And, you know, these sort of things that are like, that's the divorce that I dreamed for myself.
See, and that's the thing, is like, you're choosing to not let the world tell you who you are. Right? Because outside they're like, oh, what? That's fucked up. Like, how are you? You know, I have another friend. They did the exact same thing, dude. And now they're like, two couples are like co-parenting a bunch of kids together. It's the weirdest situation, but it works really well. And and it's super positive for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's just more people to love them.
and they just chose, like, no, we're not going to do that. This is our path. And watch what we're going to, and there's confidence in that, right? Like, that's why I think sobriety has given me this, like, one of the guys, Spencer, said this on our podcast a while ago, but it's like, you become somebody that needs to be convinced.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I believe so strongly in the path that I'm on and who I am. If you want to change that, you better have a good goddamn reason.
Yeah.
You know, and before it was never that way. You know, it's just kind of like a leaf in the wind. Is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah, I'll do it. Like, 80 lines of Coke right now, why not? You know, and so it's just that mentality of, like, pressing it to that. And so you're just kind of enlightening yourself, you know, and broadening your horizons a little bit.
Yeah. Don't want to miss out.
No.
So might as well participate in that thing.
Dude, and that was the thing with this podcast. I was just so angry. And instead of being angry and sitting on the sideline, I was like, fuck it, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you just get to that point in your life where you're just tired of it. And you just do it because you're like, fuck it.
Well, I was listening to Tia's episode this morning just to kind of warm myself up because I've been so scared about this process.
Why? Dude,
I'm scared of microphones. It's because my dad.
Oh, that makes sense. Right. That makes sense.
Because he was on the microphone.
Was he like actually like a big deal?
Yeah.
Like Ron Burgundy style?
Well, if I say that out into the world, it's gonna feed his ego.
We're gonna edit all this out.
No, he won't. He'll want it. He'll want that ego boost. Yeah, he was Ron Burgundy.
Dude, that's fucking badass.
Yeah, he was famous in a small town.
Super cool.
I will say that as a podcast listener, like I will search for what it is that I'm looking for. And so if somebody stumbles on this podcast because they're in a dark place or they're trying to own their sobriety and find that confidence in it, and,
Yeah.
like overcome the shame and come into like, hey, this is a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, the term grateful alcoholic.
Totally, dude. Like
I am that.
And that's the thing is like people ask me like, would you go back and change anything? And I'm like, the only thing I would change is the people that I hurt. That's it. I wouldn't change anything else.
Right.
I would change the impact that I've had on other people.
Exactly. And you can do that by
Having
repairing.
Exactly.
Repairing.
Yeah.
So before we let you go and wrap this up, is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that you've learned? Anything that you're like, I've got to make sure people hear this?
I've loved this conversation. So thanks for having me, and thanks for creating, this exposure to
Absolutely, man.
to the sober community, because I know that I tend to seek out, podcasts or content that are just people telling my story, to feel less alone when I'm forcing myself to be alone. So thank you for having this available. It's been meaningful to be able to listen to the stories of some of my dearest.
Yep.
And I would love to connect, with people. And so I'm out there, Allie J Fit on social media. I live here in Northern Colorado. I have 2 kids in the community, and I have a part-time job at an olive oil shop.
Nice.
Yes.
And in Windsor.
In Windsor, the bottled olive.
I need
And
some
so, yeah, I would just love to stay connected with anybody who, my story resonated with and be in their world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do is just create community, right? Shatter the stigmas that are out there around all this stuff. And,
Yeah. Fuck those stigmas.
fuck those stigmas, man. Like, you guys are beautiful people, and, everybody's got problems,
We're fun.
Yeah, we're a lot of fun.
So
A lot. And pretty fucking intelligent when we're not drinking. So, well, I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability, your story, like just your energy, man. You're an awesome human being.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just, obviously interviewing your ex-husband and now getting the opportunity to sit down with you. It's cool to hear that you guys are moving forward together in a positive direction.
Yeah.
So, well, with that, guys, we're going to let Allie go. Don't forget to follow Allie J Fit on social media. And I just want to say thank you guys to all of our listeners. Honestly, our subscriptions have been going up a lot quicker lately. So we really appreciate you guys subscribing. Once we can monetize this thing, it's just going to grow our impact and what we can do. So thank you guys. We love you. Please reach out if you need anything. And we will see you next week. Later.
Bye.